And then I graduated from the French school with the French, Arabic, and English. Then right after school, I came to this country and I had my BS, MS, and doctorate from here. I teach at Springbrook High School, which is like a suburb of Washington, D.C. in the state of Maryland. And why did I become an educator?
Yep.
Okay, as a young student, I was always able to tutor my peers. I was teaching them grammar, French grammar, or math and science, and I had this thing for teaching. So, like, I'm hooked to teaching. I really love being with the students. Even I have my Doctor of Education. I did not choose to go pursue work in an office. I like to interact with people. I like that kind. And I like to make a difference in the students' life, because you could see how your students, get better with every teacher.
Wonderful. Mona, can you also tell us what grades do you teach right now in your school and what subjects?
Okay, I teach a high school, which means 9 through 12, and they're all mixed up together in one classroom. And I teach 2 classes. I'm a math certified teacher, as well as other subjects too, French, Spanish, and Arabic. And Arabic, two classes of Arabic and 3 classes of math. That's what I teach. And they're all mixed together. We mix, like, I could have a 9th grader, 14-year-old, the same class with an 18-year-old. And very different levels of aptitudes.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about you?
Well, actually, I learned, I'm not Chinese, but I learned Chinese when I was in graduate school for Chinese literature at Indiana University. And for a variety of reasons, I decided that the life of an academic was not for me. And I left academics for a while, but I really missed the students. I TA'd my whole time at Indiana. I TA'd Chinese language, and I just thought it was a really wonderful way to interact with students. And it was great to kind of like, it was my favorite part of every week was being in the classroom with the students. So I decided to come back, and I'm probably different from Mona and Liu Laoshi in the sense that I don't have teachers. I teach at a private school in Virginia, so I'm not a certified teacher. I don't have a certification from state, which is a little bit different. But besides that, and I teach in what we call our upper school, which is the same as a high school. It's grades 9 through 12, so ages probably 14 to 18. It's just a slightly different terminology. And what else can I add? Oh, I teach at a private school. Yeah, it's called Potomac School. It's in Fairfax County. It's just in Virginia, so it's another suburb of Washington, D.C.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about you?
Hi, my name is Yutao Liu. I was originally from Sichuan province in China, and I was the English teacher in Sichuan for over 12 years. And then I came to America in 2003. I was in Houston first, and I taught in some Chinese school in Houston, and I moved to Maryland. I got into the Chinese teaching program in University of Maryland, and I got certified, I got a master's degree for that. So I immediately got a job after that, and now I'm teaching in elementary school, John Eaton Elementary School in DC. First, I taught from pre-K to 5th grade, and I was kind of exhausted to teach the whole school and everyone take Chinese classes, and then very soon Confucius Institution sent another Chinese teacher, so we share the Chinese courses, and I become a educator. So my parents are both teachers in China. I like to practice teaching when I was a child. And once I started to teach in China, a lot of people say, you were born to be a teacher. I say, I think so, because every time I feel when I stand in the classroom, I feel I forgot everything. All my sadness, everything, I feel like very powerful and also very fulfilled, very interesting in my life. I feel teaching is very what kind of job, very powerful job to shape people, not very shape to bring people up.
Yep, sounds very similar to what we have been hearing yesterday, right? When you were interviewing each other, you were getting the similar responses why you decided to become a teacher. Now here is my other question to you. Can you describe a typical day at your school? Who would like to start with this one? Like, when do you go to school? What is the time that your school starts? What do you do as soon as you get into the school building? Sure, go ahead.
Okay, well, I wake up at 5 a.m. I'm only 10 minutes away from my high school, but I leave my house at 6:30 and I come back at 4. We have to be at school at 7, and the students have to be seated in their seat at 7:25. And we have, each student has 7 classes, and teachers teach 5 of those 7. And we have 2 classes for planning. We have to give half hour after school for the students to come for extra help, and also half hour in the morning, so they can come at 7 and get extra help. We have to give time for retest. If the student fail a test, you have to give them a retest. Make sure he can pass. We have lunch, and during lunch we talk about the students, if we teach the same subject, what we're going to do to make it better for them. If there's a discipline problem, what we should do about it.
And during lunch, you talk about all this with your peers, with your colleagues.
Teachers, right. And once a month, we have a faculty meeting with the principal. He talks about whatever we're going to talk about, testing or meetings. And there are a lot of extracurricular activity for the students. They could do that after school.
And you're part also of that curriculum?
Yes, I have an Arabic club and an MSA, Muslim Student Association club, and I have a Leo club. So every teacher has to be sponsoring an activity. That's part of the job, part of the contract.
And that part of extracurricular activity, how long does that take after lunch?
No, it's after school.
After school?
It takes an hour, from an hour to an hour and a half. And this is volunteer. You don't have to do it, but they don't, It's, let's see, what else you want to talk about?
Where do you do the grading? Do you do it at home or?
At home, because during school the planning is you plan your lesson. You're gonna go to the copying room and the machine doesn't work all the time. And so I take all the grading home and do it. So you expect 2 hours at home. It's a lot of work.
Thank you. How about you, Grant?
My day is very similar. I get up. DC traffic is notoriously bad, so I get up around 5, even though we don't have to be at school till 7:45. I leave around 6:30 to get to school. And besides that, we teach about 4 to 5 classes out of 7 periods total. So that leaves us with just about the same amount of planning time, 2 or 3 periods. After school, we're a little different. That after school, all of our students are required to participate in sports after school. So we have very few, we don't have a lot of activities. We have activity time actually in the course of a week. We have 1 activity period, and that can be a variety of different things. I've had a Chinese conversation club, I did a Chinese poetry club, which no one attended, but it was a lot of fun. What else did I have? But in general, very similar. I have a trick for homework, because I was taking home a lot of homework, and then finally I decided that for smaller evaluation, like quizzes, I make them grade their own quizzes, because otherwise it's too much work to bring all those students' work home. But I think it's always a balancing act between those 2 things.
Okay, for me, because we're elementary school, quite a little bit different from yours, and a teacher required to be at school at 8 o'clock. So I got up like around 6:30, because I had 2 children. I had to send them to kindergarten and everything. And then we had to drive to DC. It took about 15 minutes. And then after that, I had to prepare for the morning announcements. In our school, we have the Chinese morning announcements.
What is morning announcement?
It seems like the school news and the weather report. And the Chinese, we want them to speak some Chinese and about the school activities, or some introduce some Chinese knowledge about the great people like Confucius and everything. So we have prepared that, and we have to guide the students to the morning announcement. After that, sometimes in the morning we have the teacher meeting, like a grade level teacher meeting. The Chinese teacher mostly invited to attend. Every month we have the teacher meeting too, and After that, I have the different classes every day, but every class lasts like 45 minutes. I do not have my Chinese classroom. That's a little bit the pity for our school. We ask for one, but the school is so crowded. We just do not have enough space. So I have to travel between classes. So I have to work with the class teachers, the teaching assistant. But in other way, they really help me with the class.
What do you mean by traveling from one class to the other?
Because
how do you do that?
what they do is, for example, this class will be in the first floor for pre-K or kindergarten. Next class, we will travel to the third grade, third floor for the fifth grader. So I had to do like that because most like the high school, you have your own Chinese classroom, but for us, it's not very convenient. We have to walk between classes like in China. And so I prepare for the class, my Chinese lesson in school. So I never bring any Chinese work at home. So I think that you can do very well. So that way you do not make your life too stressed. Because if after school you still have to work, I think it's a little bit stressed. But I kind of like use every minute when I was in school. And I prepare lessons, I grade the work, and also in the elementary school, because it's not required to have to give homework. And so I didn't really give homework, so I didn't. So that's kind of a little bit lighter load.
You mentioned about morning announcement. Let me go back one more time to the morning announcement. As a teacher, can you skip those morning announcements? It's, after all, might not be related to you. Can you just not come at that time and come, like, say, at 8 o'clock or 8:30 instead of?
Yes, for the like fifth grader, fourth grader, it's possible, but for kindergarten and first grader, they're so young. Those kids are so young. Even their class teacher required to come to the office to guide them. It's not like for the high school students; they can do themselves.
How about?
Yeah, we have after-school program too, but I didn't do it. The other teachers doing it. I'm trying to set up Chinese clubs. They still need to give me space. So because I just only teach there for 1 year, with a lot of programs still ongoing. And but we have every year we have the Chinese performance, Chinese New Year performance. And it took a long time for us to prepare. We have the lunch duty and the recess duty. So they're also included. So I leave like every day like 4:30 and drive home. That's my typical day.
How about you, Mona and Graham? Can you come to school late, like after the school announcements?
No. If you're not there by 7, like,
What happens?
what happens? You're in big trouble. You could lose your job.
Okay. How about you, Graham?
It's an interesting question. One of the things that maybe it's just my school that's nice is that there's a lot of flexibility. If you need to, for example, leave and go to a doctor's appointment, that's a possibility, and especially in the morning. But it depends on what periods you teach. So this year I teach both. We have a kind of a rotating schedule, but this year I teach both first and second form. So I really can't. I have to be there when the first bell rings. But in previous years, I've had one of those blocks that I haven't taught. And then I can come in a little bit later if I need to go see a doctor or go to the post office or just a little errand like that. There's some flexibility with that.
Okay. How about the class sizes? What is the average number of students in your class? If we can start from Graham this time and then move to the ladies.
This is probably one of the biggest differences potentially between, although maybe less so in language classes. But at my school, the biggest class at my school is only 15 students. And my classes in general are 5 to 12 students, so they're much smaller.
Nice. for us, like the higher grade, we have the biggest class size is 27 students, and the smaller one for the pre-K is at 4 or 5 years old. They have like 10 or 12 students, but generally it's like around 20.
Because of budgets, recently we have up to 33 students in each class.
That includes your Arabic class as well?
Yes,
33 students.
33.
Okay, then my next question is coming to you. How do you keep the students involved, engaged, and interested in learning Arabic? That's a
Okay.
big size for a foreign language.
Yeah, and also in that class, because of budget, I had different levels in one class. I had level 1, 2, 3, 4, and an IB, all in one class.
What is IB? If you can
International
explain.
Baccalaureate, that's like in anywhere in the world, you can have that same high school diploma. It's called IB, and that's, you can go to any, like overseas. So it's very demanding. It's like rigor. Mostly they take the 11th and 12th, they take those classes.
So how do you teach different levels?
Okay,
and
we
different
have,
age groups?
I have lots of technology and lots of software, so I could divide this, like students to go to the computer lab, and someone else is gonna work with them. And then I would take the level 1, work with them. The IB students are good enough to work on their own.
And then you structure your classes, your assignment in a way so that each group can work.
Yeah, like I would give the one group, work with them for 10 minutes, give them something to do, then I work with the next group. So at all different levels. And this is all because of budgeting. It wasn't like that. I used to have 2 classes.
Thank you. How about you guys? How do you keep your students engaged? It's high school, elementary school. How do you make them interested in learning the language?
Even though I have separate classes for each one of my levels, I have level 1, 2, 3, 2 sections of 3, and then an independent study this last year. What's difficult about it is, even though they're all the same level, the levels of aptitude, of strength, can be very, very different from students who are really fairly weak to students who are really quite strong. And keeping their interest is hard because you want to find a pace that is challenging to the strongest students, but still not overwhelming for the weakest ones. And that's always a negotiation. I think that's an everyday thing you have to work on. And I think there are some things I think you can, oftentimes if in small groups, students stay more focused if you put them in small groups to work. And also just, making, you can have, pair up students so that a stronger student can be helping a slightly weaker student. And that helps as well. But I'm sure there are lots of, I'm sure Mona and Leo actually have better techniques than I do. But.
Yeah, I think that is problem. Like you teach a class, the students' level is quite different, but you want everyone to learn. That's the big challenge for you too when you go to the classroom. And about American, they say nobody is left behind, right? So for me, I think there is the universal way because everyone will get interested in it. You have to discover it. So one way is, of course, you have to make the material very interesting. So interesting, how to find it is interesting. You have to listen to the students, what students like. You have to maybe do a little survey when you go to the classroom. You say, what is it like? What do you want to learn? What way you want to know they're interested, and then you combine their interest into the class, and you design your class. I think you find the students who are always like games, so you can design the classes into the way of the game. They always like singing, like teaching Chinese, a little bit hard for the student to learn. So when I teach Chinese poem or songs, I always invent some gestures, the body language, sing with them, and I combine all the Chinese culture. Like our school, the parents and all the whole school require say, you do not just teach them language. You do not just teach them one word, one sentence. They can say one sentence. That's not the language teaching. We say you have to teach culture. So I think the culture makes the class more alive or active. So when I design everything, I always put the culture within it. Even when you have game, I always use maybe chopsticks to pick up things, to compete. And when I teach the body parts, I will let them know about dragon. So they will make something related to dragon door dragon, or make some dragon boats. or something like that. And the body parts where you do the Chinese body exercise. So also something related to China, they will feel they learn something different. I think that's most important. Listen to them, find the interest, and then invent things. Like I believe that the teacher always can find a way to solve the problems, but you need like be patient, and then you need to be very observative and also reflective, and become a critical thinker about their learning style. And then I think you always can find a way.
And
Sounds good.
We're lucky really with foreign languages too, because some students really love the writing, some students really love the speaking, some students have good ears, some students love the culture, the history. So you can find out what their interests are, and make sure you have activities for each one.
Yeah, for me, the previous Chinese teacher told me the students are easily to go to chaos. They will move everywhere. So I give you some warning. Do not let them do any group activities. If you do that, you will get out of control. I do not believe that, because I did the group activity. I do the role play all the time when I was teaching English in China. It was very successful. I said, I'm going to find a way. Everyone get interested in. They feel they like it. And I tried, and I find the 5th grader, 4th grader, the 3rd grader, all of them love the group activity, role play. And then we had the Chinese New Year play, and they got so excited to do all those things. I think just try your way and get the student involved. Everyone think they have something to do and they are part of the learning.
Thank you. Let me stop asking questions at this point and open up the floor to your questions. Any questions that you have that you would like to ask to the teachers, who are experts of the topic? Wala, and then Yushi.
Okay. My question is for Mrs. Miller. I just wanted to ask. You said that you do like extracurricular activities, like the Arabic club. You teach high school. What do you do? Like, what do you do in this Arabic club? What do you do? What are the activities that you do there? And how can I I'm going to teach like elementary. How can I apply that to elementary?
First, you're gonna have a meeting after school, because it's cannot do this during school. So they come after school. Whoever is interested, you announce it first. So say you get like 10 students. So there's like any organization, they're gonna choose a president, vice president, and then they're gonna start doing whatever they want. So we ask them, what do you guys want to do? So one girl would say, I want to learn belly dancing. So you're gonna get them music and you show them the steps. Everything is on YouTube, by the way. Anything you want to learn is on YouTube. You do that, you go to YouTube. They want to listen to Arabic music. Some people are interested in the Quran, so you can go and get them Quran, and
So
they
it's not
can.
like an academic. It's just that.
Yeah, it's all activity, no academic. They can do anything they want, but get the interest from the students. Some people want to learn cooking, so I'm a very good international cook. So I will teach them that. They will sponsor, for example, the Muslim women who are domestic violence. They will make a big sale, and from the money they can send it to this organization, so they could see in the community who needs money and they do something about it. So it's very good for the students.
Yeah. Is it kind of applicable for elementary?
I cannot hear you, I'm sorry.
Is it? Can we apply that to elementary?
Elementary, yeah, not very little, like maybe 5th, 6th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, older kids. Just tell them what you guys want to do, see what they want to do, and do it. Yeah.
But I have a question. In
One
the
question.
same point,
Huh?
same point.
Same point.
Yes.
One
It's okay.
second. Let's
It's
get
okay.
that question and then we'll come back to you.
I just have questions for our three teachers.
Sure.
And I'm teaching grade 7 and grade 8. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach in grade 7 and grade 8, and I don't like any sports except for swimming. But I just want to know, besides teaching, what other ways can you suggest us to make students love me?
You have to respect the student, number one. You never make him feel, you have to work on his self-esteem if he's not, you know. So make sure that you're respecting him. Eye contact all the time. You don't want to put him down. If he gave you a hard time, just go approach him privately. Don't ever humiliate the student in front of the class, okay? You have to have this rapport between you and your student. Never humiliate them in front of, you know, other students, because they won't like that. They will hate you if you do that. And don't call home unless it's really, he really gave you a really hard time. So just try to work it out with the student. If it's really big discipline problem, write a contract between you and the student. What is he gonna do to make this behavior better? Last resort would be calling parents, administration, and all that. But try to work it out with your student.
I think Mona's point about making sure that you if there's a real discipline problem, taking the kid outside of the classroom to talk to them is so important, because then you're on their side and you come up with, you actually have a moment where there's a connection there. You say, these are the things that I need from you. Can we do that? And then you say, have I done any, you know, do you feel comfortable in the classroom? You can even say something like that. And then something like your partners. And you go back in the classroom to partners. Whereas if you call them out in the middle of the classroom, like, they lose face and they get really, especially that's such a hard age for, you know, students. Like, they can feel very embarrassed for a long time. But in terms of getting them to love you, I think there are a lot of good things. You don't have to necessarily be a coach. I'm so unathletic, it's kind of depressing. But so I don't coach anything, but if you have a talent like singing or dancing, like I play some music for my students sometimes, and I bring out a guitar, and they roll their eyes at me, but they love it. You know, they have a good time. And sometimes you just have to be willing to be goofy and silly and funny, and they really like that. And then also being interested in what they're doing. If they're in a play, that's one of the most important things. If they are in the school play, go see the school play.
Yeah.
If they're playing football, you know, I don't even quite understand the rules, but go and watch it. And you know, I think it's really. And then the next day, congratulate them or say that was a great pass, or and then they love that. I mean, as soon as they think that you were interested in them, like they love you in return. I think.
I agree that you will be part of them. Also you make your class very interesting. If they love your class, they will come to hug you. Or my kindergarten will come to hug me, because and then I teach the class like in a very different way. They will meet me outside. They speak Chinese to me. Even kindergarten, they make faces with me. You know they love you, and because you respect your class, you respect your teaching, your students. Also, they know you put your energy and strength there, and then they respect you too. They love you that way.
Make a point that you know their names right away. Like even the first day, have a seating chart, and then put the first name and the last name, and name, you know, call him by his first name right away. You know, don't wait too long.
Sorry, what if I just couldn't remember the names in short
Yeah,
time?
it's
Always
same
do
for
that.
me, because I cannot remember the
Okay.
English name.
We make a seating chart. Everyone, like, she's sitting here, so I have her on my like a map. She's sitting here. Okay, it takes me 2 days, and I will know everybody's name. Just try to go home and try to memorize it. We have pictures on my, electronic thing. You can see the kid's picture, and he's sitting there. And this is very important. This is your personal relationship with your student.
And that's such a great point, because it's really hard for any foreigner to remember the U.S. names.
Yes.
But if you have a chart, that's a great suggestion, and you have it on your written. Sometimes it's even easy to ask them to tell something about themselves. In that way, it's easier for you to remember. For example, the exercise that we did yesterday, right? Tell us why your name was given. In that way, it was easier for us to remember, oh, this is the person that the name was given for this reason.
Yeah, for me to do Chinese, I always ask, what's your name in Chinese? So they always answer me in their name. And then they always report, when I answer question, always give me the name. So repeat many times, you kind of connect the image and the name together. And also you need to make it like you're going to the entrance examination to college. Do that job. Do your homework. Yes.
I think to make a sitting up is a really great idea, but can I ask students to sit in a seat for at least 3 days? So I can easily remember their names?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
I mean, can I ask the students, can teacher ask students or arrange the students to sit? Because as far as I know, most American students like to sit randomly in class.
No. You have to have the first day of school. You have to assign. I do it in alphabetical order. Like the student sits here. You have to do this. Otherwise, you'll never learn the names.
Yeah.
It will be very difficult for you. And then this is more classroom management. You have to know where every student is seated. And then later on, if the student talks with the student because they're best friend, you could do something about it later on. But the very beginning, when they come in, tell them stand up please until I seat you. Okay, hold on. And then you already have your seating chart made the day before. They give us a week before students come. They give us a whole week to take care of things like that, to prepare. So we have a week with our kids.
Can I add a little something on
Absolutely.
that? I have a trick, which is that I actually I've never called my students by their American name. Even when I see them on the street, I call them by their Chinese name, which they choose for themselves. There's a site called mandarintools.com, and they can go and they can enter things like their birth date and whatever attributes they want to emphasize, and they put in their name, and they get I have a student named Zachary Meza, and he puts it in, and his name comes out as Ma Zheng Kang. So I just call him Ma Zheng Kang. Even if I see him on the street, I'm like, Ni hao Ma Zheng Kang, and he's like, Ni hao Lao Shi, and it's pretty fun. But then they have a personal connection to that name too, which is fun. And then you only have to remember. But usually, if they come in and they're really bad names, like I had one student was named Zhang Raomi, like Easy Zhang, and I decided that was a bad name, so we changed it. But most of the time, they really love getting the experience of getting their own Chinese name. And then you don't have to remember their American names; just remember their Chinese name.
You have to be very careful because the students ask them, what name do you want me to call you? Because say they have a big name and they have a nickname. So call him by the nickname and write it down on your chart. This is how he wants to be called. And you have to say, excuse me if I mispronounce your name. How do you want me to pronounce it? And then you write exactly how it's pronounced, So this is very important. Like for example, I have a student from Egypt, her name is Sanaya. So in Egypt, I would call her Sanaya, but she said, that's not my name. It's Sania. Because she was born here. She was not, she wants to be called the way the American calls her. So you have to be very careful. Call them what they want you to call them.
Thank you very much. Can we go to Heba and then to Muhammad?
Actually, I have 3 questions regarding the Arabic or Chinese club. When I'm going to arrange an Arabic club, does it have a fixed schedule? And for example, once a week or once a month, or how many times?
Arabic lab?
Yes.
Or you mean computer lab?
No, Arabic club. Arabic club.
Club.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, once every 2 weeks. Because this is a problem for students to stay after school, for their parents to come and pick them up. Unless you have after-school buses, which we lost from our budget. We don't have after-school buses this year. So you have to be very careful.
Twice or once a month is
Twice a month.
at the most. You cannot do it once a week. It's too much. I'm sorry, is it elementary school?
Yes.
Okay, if it's elementary, they can walk to school and the parents, no problem about picking them up. You can ask the parents, I want to do this. Is it too much trouble for you to pick them up? Whatever the kids want, ask the kids first.
For us, the after-school program is paid project. So maybe like 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. Yeah, the parents will come. They have people organize all the students. After you finish your project or lesson, you just send it to the school administration. There are some people organize all these things. You just give lessons.
My feeling is that that's the number one thing that changes the mode, the extracurricular stuff. It's different every school, don't you think? So I think when you get to your school, you can ask any of the teachers there, and they'll give you a good idea.
Do we have to arrange just one activity in the class?
No, do whatever. Ask the students what they
It could
want
be
to do.
many activities like songs, dancing, and
Ask them what they want to do. Do they like to draw? Do they like to dance? Do they like to...
do they have to agree for
the majority.
about one
Ask.
okay, but it will be just one activity per time, or
You can have a lot. It's just like you give a lesson. You can have singing, You can have like paper cutting. You can have all those things combined in your lessons. The after-school activity tried to make the students learn something like they cannot learn in class or something like that. So
Watch even a movie, like, an
yes.
Egyptian movie
Yeah,
with
we can do
subtitles.
that too.
They
Okay.
like that too.
So
And they love the music, the new, Wahbi, Wawa, they
Yeah.
love those things. Every time I put that Wawa thing, they want it.
Let's do the following. So as we have chance, because I can see a lot of hands raising, why don't we have one question per person? And then we can go to the next round. How about
Okay.
that, Hema? Is that okay
Okay.
with you? Thank you. Mohammed, please.
Regarding Arabic teaching, I want to ask you Simona, about the problems you faced when you first come to the United States and into the class. What problems do you face first when you come to teach here?
I'm sorry, I'm old, I cannot hear very well. Oh, we have microphone.
Microphones are turned on. Let's.
What kinds of problems,
What
problems did you
problems?
face when you come to teach here in the United States?
Problems as a teacher.
When you first came to America?
I came, I was very young, and I went to college here. But for a foreign teacher, it's hard because it's completely different culture, and you have to understand the American culture. Like, for example, in our culture, my culture in Egypt, when I walk in a room in the morning, I have to say good morning to everybody. Isn't this what we say?
Yes.
Some people here will not answer you. Some people in your school, say the American school you're going to, they might tell you, what's good about it? Don't take it personal. You have to understand that this is, a lot of people will not shake your hands. So you have to, like, you might give your hand to someone, I'm saying some people, not everyone, they might not even give you their hand back. So you have to understand non-verbal communication. You have to read a little bit about the American culture to understand, so you won't get offended. Like, first time I went to my professor in college, he had his feet like this on the desk when I was walking in. This is very insulting for us to have the sole of your shoes facing somebody. But here they do it. It's not insulting. You go into professors and they have this in front of you. So don't feel bad, you know what I mean? You have to understand the culture. These are the problems that might.
Okay, concerning this point, if you notice that a student inside the class putting his legs on the desk, how do you act?
For a student? Okay, the student, you have to tell him, excuse me, does your feet hurt? Do you have a problem with your leg? This is not your living room, put your foot down. This is what I do. I ask him to put his foot down because I feel this is not respectful in my culture. And this is an Arabic class, you have to respect my culture. But a lot of other American teachers will not allow it either.
What if they don't listen to you?
Okay, if they don't listen to you, again, you have to come close to them, okay? Don't embarrass them in front of somebody. A little bit, you have to ignore things, You don't have to hear everything, you don't have to see everything. Sometimes you have to let go because you have 33 kids in the class. You're not superwoman, you have to, you have to, you know what I mean, right? So it's hard, it's not easy.
Can I add a point? What about the tensions the teachers can have for the students who are negative or behaving?
How often? Let's put it this way. How often do you give detention?
I don't believe in detention because my students it's not going to make them any better. If you do something like that, they might do the opposite the next day. So the best thing, like other teachers will make them stay after school and wash the desks. I don't feel like this is good. I don't feel this is punishment. It's not going to teach them anything. It's like when you put a person in jail, it doesn't mean he's going to come out and be a perfect person, right? It's the same thing. You cannot punish them. You just have to talk to them, privately. You write a contract. I, so-and-so, promise not to do this again. We'll stop the him. And then, we give them a reward. I go to Costco and buy chocolates like this all the time.
I think Mona's exactly right. I very infrequently give detentions when I do, or we have detention points. You have to get 3 detention points to get a detention. And I've only ever given them for dress code violations, when students are out of dress code. They don't have to wear ties, but when their shirts are untucked or whatever. And because I feel like, exactly, I mean, if you punish them, then you've done damage to that relationship that you built with the student. Whereas if you pull them outside and you say, this is what I need from you, what do you need from me? Like, how do you feel good in this classroom? Like, let's have a conversation. That builds a relationship. And when you're punishing them, that really injures that relationship. But I think sometimes, I think you're exactly right, walk around a class, and another great way to kind of get students to, if they're slouching back in the chair, sometimes you can even just put your hand on their shoulder and they know, like, sit up in their seat, or...
We don't touch students, don't touch.
Oh, yeah, that's
Really? Don't
touch.
touch. Public school, we don't touch.
Except for elementary school.
Elementary maybe not.
I asked them because I saw all the teachers touching students, and I asked them to say it's okay for them.
We don't touch students.
Mona, if they are in fight, do you touch them?
No,
You can get in trouble. You can get hurt yourself. We have a button. We have a red button in the classroom. If 2 kids get real physical and they really can hurt each other, you just hit the button. We have policemen on campus. We have 2,000 students in my high school. 2,000 students, 9 to 12, 14 to 18 years old. So you can expect there will be problems, right? So if 2 kids get into a physical fight, don't come, because you're gonna hurt yourself. And if you touch a student, they can take you to court. You touched him, whatever sexual, whatever, you're gonna hurt him. So I recommend no touching.
So you just leave them?
No, you don't leave them. I have a button. I have a button. I did that once. I did the
Call the
button, and I would
police.
have 2 security men coming the same second. They come, if it's very bad, the policeman will come, and the police car will come.
And you at the very least have a telephone in your classroom where you can call the front desk.
I have a button, it relates to security.
How about you? What do you do with your elementary kids? Is there a button too?
Yeah, we don't have button, but we have the telephone you can press, and then they will immediately, they can hear what's happening. We have the video camera to every classroom, so
Yeah, we have cameras all over.
so they can see situation what's happening.
Okay, I can see 2 hands from here. You first, third, I'll share my second, I'll share my third.
And actually later on we will go to our host school and give our first Arabic or Chinese class. I think first class is very important. So according to your own experience, would you please give us some suggestions about what kind of activities do you believe is the most effective?